guys, but here to really dissect it and to give us that trainer's eye is the one and only Mr. James Gogue. James, how the heck are you tonight, brother?
Hey, Joe, I'm doing good. Thank you.
Well, I tell you what, it's always a pleasure and an honor to feature you, man, every Sunday. And, yeah, on behalf of all of our listeners, we are very fortunate to be able to feature you, man. So thank you once again for taking time out of your busy schedule. Have you seen any good fights lately, Gogue?
Yeah, finally, we saw a real good battle yesterday between Baranchyk and Zepeda, on ESPN. Yeah, unexpected. A good battle.
Well, not unexpected, but and you said it, and this has been their trend as of late, and it goes back to Promotions 101, right? The great Don Chargan taught us this. If you have two guys who are on the world-class level but aren't big-ticket sellers, in order to increase their market value, you have no choice but to stick them in tough, evenly matched fights to increase their marketability, right, to increase their star power. And that's what we've been seeing. I mean, it started kind of on, Pedraza versus Molina. That was an evenly matched fight, and it turned out to be a great matchup. But this one really took the cake. Gogue, we called it on Friday night on Lee Cleveland's show, the editor of FightSaga.com. We warned everyone that not to miss this fight, that this was going to be an excellent style matchup. Both guys have heavy hands. Both guys are at a level where this is of great consequence. The winner, more than likely, is going to face, once again, the winner of Ramirez versus Taylor on the road ahead. That's on the horizon. And, boy, they let it all hang out. Were you a little surprised to see, the lack of sturdiness and the lack of physical durability of both men?
Well, Joe, Baranchyk always makes good fights. I don't care who he fights, okay? So, just his forward, reckless aggression, getting hit a lot, man, that's great for TV. But I didn't, honestly, Joe, I thought it would be a good fight because of Baranchyk, you know what I mean? I didn't think it'd be this. I didn't turn you on. Like, you never know how a fight's going to play out, like Don Chargan used to tell me. You never know. You think you got a good matchup, it turns out to be a great matchup. You think you got a great matchup on paper, it could be a stinker. So, like Larry Merchant said, boxing is a theater of the unexpected. You just got to wait and see on how everything plays out. But, I was surprised. I didn't expect how many knockdowns, Joe? 8 or something like that? Jeez.
8 total in just 5 rounds of action, four times apiece.
Yeah. But them guys were in great condition, because to get knocked down that many times by each guy, man, and to get up and continue to fight, you got to be in tremendous condition and shape to recover from them knockdowns and battle back, okay? Now you see nowadays, 99% of the times these bitches get hurt and, they can't recover and, they throw in the towel. They don't have that, they don't have that fire in them to come back from a bad time, a bad adversity in a fight. They lay down like a dog, when they get knocked down, or they just plain out quit. Okay. But not these guys. These guys, they got knocked down, got up, no big deal, shook it off and battled, and pressed ahead. And, it was great back and forth action. I got to give credit to both guys. They made a name for themselves, and this is what the sport needs, okay? This is what boxing needs. Great, entertaining matchups week after week after week on free, a big mainstream, especially ESPN platform. Oh, that's how you grow the sport of boxing. That's how you get people excited about the sport. Not like they do on that PBS bullshit, Al Heyman, where they take their best matchups to pay-per-view, and they take their shittiest matches, their B/C level matches to Showtime Championship Boxing and Fox. That's not how you grow the sport. They're doing it the exact opposite of the way Top Rank's doing it, and that's why they've been getting shitty ratings. Their last few shows they did on Fox and Showtime Championship Boxing.
No, indeed, you're absolutely right. And I think one of the things that really took us by surprise, and it's just from recent performances, right? Most of the time when a fighter nowadays, when they get knocked down, they become safety first and more tentative-minded.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't see that last night. When Zepeda got knocked down twice in the first round, boy, he felt that sense of urgency, and he came out guns a-blazing, and, boy, we were all the beneficiaries of it. Talk about that, Gogue. I mean, why don't we see fights of this nature more frequently?
The fighters in the past displayed them kind of guts and courage and ballsiness in them, okay? I don't know. There was a great fight in '83. It was Fight of the Year. Edwin Rosario versus Jesus Luis Ramirez, the second one. Oh, my God. That was a battle for 3 rounds until, Ramirez, got knocked down twice the first round. The second round, he weathered another hurricane round. He was getting plastered, by Rosario's big bombs. And nobody, I repeat, nobody survives Edwin Chapo Rosario's big bombs when you get hit like that. But, Ramirez, guts, fortitude, and, just kept pressing the action, turned the tide, and eventually stopped Rosario in the third round. Well, that's, you used to see that all the time on fights back in the days, okay? Guys back then, Joe, bottom line, they had bigger balls. They were tougher. They were meaner. They were more resilient. These kids nowadays are soft. I'm just being upfront. There's a few guys out there, like these 2 guys that fought last night and a few others in boxing. But, you look majority of the time, you see these fights, these guys are getting, beat up a little, and you have people out there, stop the fight. You know what I mean? They're not as savage like the fans back then. Back then, you had to fight, okay? And then when the tough moments in the fight came, my expectations, you fight through those tough moments, and you battle, and you forge ahead, and you overcome, and you change the tide and the momentum of the fight. Okay, that's what makes boxing so exciting. Okay, when moments like that occur, when guys like Zepeda was getting his ass whooped real bad. I said, "Oh man, it ain't gonna last long." Next thing you know, he changed it around. I'm going, "Oh man, okay, yeah." That's what makes boxing exciting, Joe. Okay, and but the thing is, Joe, I noticed that kids nowadays, especially here, I'm in Mexico. I got my new gym up here in Mexico. The kids nowadays, I got to, first thing I teach them, work ethic, discipline, toughness, dedication. They don't understand that shit, okay? Back then, it was automatic. But now, it's that toughness is missing from a lot of these kids, that work ethic, which comes from work ethic, you know what I mean? And discipline and dedication. And that's one thing I see missing a lot nowadays, Joe. It's scary. You know what I mean? It's a different age nowadays. We're in a social media, Instagram, and era now where kids ain't as tough like in the past.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's funny, both fighters admittedly learned a lot from this performance. After the fight, the eventual victor, he had this to say on ESPN+, quote, "I feel great because I won the fight, but it was a hard fight. And I'm thinking, man, boxing is really hard. This is not an easy game. Boxing, it's tough, and you have to give it 100% because it's such a hard sport." Mm-hmm. He went on to say this, quote, "Both of us, me and Baranchyk, were climbing up, and someone had to go forward, someone had to stay. Fortunately, I was able to win the fight, and I told him thanks for the fight. It was an amazing, great fight." And he said, "I know I'm tough, but I really didn't understand how tough I was. Tonight, I showed myself how tough I was. I've never been in a fight like this, and it was a great learning experience," end quote. That says it all now, Gogue, doesn't it?
You know what Baranchyk said, Joe?
Huh?
I want a rematch.
Holy, I tell you what, please sign on the dotted line, brother.
Hey, Joe, that's the way they used to do it back in the olden days. Come on now, okay? Mm-hmm. When there was a great war, they came back with the rematch. Corrales
Corrales Castillo,
Gaddy Ward,
Ward.
Sugar Ray Robinson, LaMotta, and so on and so on and so on.
Yep. That's how you create new fans of the sport, Gogie. And especially if it's on a big platform like ESPN. That's right.
Just pay him more money. That's all. They deserve the money, so pay him more money. Yeah. Hey, Joe, there's certain styles that mesh to make great matchups. This is one. We found out last night. Okay, this is one. And to me, I don't know. Everybody's like thinking I was crazy. I'm sadistic. Man, I just want good fights. Okay. All right.
Oh, you
I'm not soft like a lot of you bitches out there. I'm a hard man, okay, and I want to see good fights, and not real. Let Baranchyk recover from his his injuries or that beating he got, and let him then bring the fight back. Because of this fight, everybody, they could sell it. You know what I mean, Joe? They could sell the fight and everything, and they just got to pump it up and give more more notoriety,
publicity.
To both guys, because nobody knows
more exposure, more publicity for both fighters. Yeah, they're warriors.
Yeah, they got to become
it.
more mainstream before it becomes more exciting. But look at UFC, Joe. They get guys that are nobodies and unknown, and all of a sudden they put on great fights and they put them rematches. They become stars. Am I right, Joe?
That's it. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Unless you're a ticket seller, you've got no choice as a promoter or a manager to stick your man in tough.
Who the hell ever heard of a lot of them UFC guys? I never heard of a lot of them. All of a sudden, they put on great fights, they get rematches, or they put them in another good fight, and all of a sudden they become stars. That's how you do it, Joe. Okay? All right? They earn their right to become stars. They're top rank, man. They're the best promoter in boxing. Like I said, I've known Bruce. The Hall of Fame matchmaker, Brad. I know them since the 90s. They're good guys, man. And the whole staff over there, Moretti, and, he's a longtime veteran guy. And, Todd DeBuff, vice president. And, of course, Aaron, he's the best ever. You know what I mean? He's still working hard to this day, Joe. He's almost 90, and he's working hard every day in the office. Goes every day in the office and, stays there, I heard, every day. Till 6 o'clock, working away, plugging away, making deals. And, one thing about Aram, Joe, at the big fights, okay, I used to get there early to watch all the top prospects, and I used to see Aram there too. He used to get there, a little bit after me. And Donald and Lorraine Chargan were the same way, at big shows, the Golden Boy shows, fight cards I fought on. Yeah, I used to see them in the audience. They'd be the first one there at 1 o'clock when the fights start, and they used to stay through the whole show to the very end, till 10, 11 at night. Yeah, that's real boxing people, Joe. Guys that that take interest in the 4-rounders just as much as they take interest in the main events and everything. And Aram's the same way. You know what I mean? They're real boxing people, man. I never seen Oscar De La Hoya come early to or Eric Gomez, the guys, or whoever, Al Heyman, or all them other boxing. So hot shots that that have power influence go to the early, go to the preliminary fight starting at 1 in the afternoon. Hell no, they don't get there to the the semi-main event and everything. So, but guys like Aram and Chargan, oh man, they're Lou DiBella too. He was a real boxing guy. He used to get there early. I used to see him there early at the fight because he had a lot of interest. He liked to see the young prospects coming up, develop. And, Lou's a boxing man. When he ran HBO, boy, he did a tremendous job, man. HBO, when he was running it, was at their peak.
Indeed. Well, what I thought would be a special treat for everyone listening, and obviously you've got Tim Bradley at ringside giving his fighter's perspective, and he was in awe last night, and that says it all. Because Tim Bradley, boy, he wasn't shy of a throwdown either. I mean, look at his fight of the year with Ruslan Provodnikov several years ago. Boy, he got his bell rung and just came back fighting. That was breathtaking. And he stated from ringside, I've seen fights like this on TV, but I've never seen one this up close where I'm not competing in it, and it was breathtaking. That says it all.
I've been involved in the fights. Tony Lopez versus Freddie Pendleton. The best off-TV the greatest off-TV fight I've ever been involved in when I was working with Tony. He got knocked down twice the first. He got knocked down twice the second. He came back, I think, in the third or fourth to knock Pendleton down. Then the next round, he knocked him down again. Oh, it was I remember that. It was man, I can't remember who was the main event that night, but everybody was saying that our card, man, they were telling Don King, who didn't show up, didn't watch it. He goes, man, Don, that's the fight you should have put on, man. Even Christy Martin, the fighter, she came up to us. She goes, man, that was the greatest fight, one of the greatest fights I've ever saw. And that whole MGM Grand Arena, there's like 8,000-9,000 people, boy, they were going crazy. But what a fight slugfest that was, man. That was a ballsy performance by Tony, man. And
well,
and guess what, Joe? When they stopped the fight, I think in the seventh round, he was complaining to the ref. Why'd you stop it? Yeah. That's the way Tony was, man.
Well, I tell you what, and yeah, Tony was something special. He had all of that, the grit, the toughness, the tenacity, the willingness. He was willing to go out on his shield, literally and figuratively. I mean, that guy was a warrior, and that's one of the reasons why he became a world champion. But Gogue, take us through that.
Who taught him that?
Who's that, sir?
He taught him that grit. His sparring sessions with Bobby Chacon coming up.
Oh, Bobby Chacon.
I used to see him, man, in the gym. They trained at the same gym. We all trained in the same gym together, man. You know what I mean? And I used to, the sparring sessions were like wars, him and Bobby, man. They would just fuck. They threw the sweet science out of the window when they sparred. They just went toe-to-toe. Oh, yeah. I used to see it, man, every fucking day, man, when they spar. Yeah. They just went at it, man. And God dang. Yeah.
Talk about that, Gogue, because that's something that our listeners, once again, they hear it from a fighter's perspective, from Tim Bradley, ringside. But how is it from a trainer's perspective? I mean, and I was thinking the whole time watching that fight, what on earth can your cornerman tell you that's going to change anything? I mean, so do you even bother giving a fighter in a match like that? Do you even bother giving him advice, or do you just try to keep him calm and refreshed?
Just help them recover for the next round, especially when you got hurt. You could throw that. You could throw the X's and O's and throw this, do this. Fighter ain't gonna listen when he gets hurt. When he's hurt between the rounds, he's incoherent. You gotta have him recover. Okay, but the thing is, unless you prepare in the gym for battles like that, you're not going to be able to survive those tough times in a fight, in a real battle. But the thing is, like I said, Tony, I just remember this spar says, you ask Tony right nowadays, he'll tell you Bobby Chacon taught him more than anybody that he ever met in boxing. It's because of his sparring sessions he went through, man. I used to see it, man. They were, back then we used to spar, Joe. Nowadays, if you spar two or 3 days a week, you're doing something. Back then, you used to spar every fucking day. Yeah, back then. That's the way we used to do it. That's how we used to get in shape. That was our strength and conditioning program. That's what got you in shape when when you're going those rounds and you're going them hard physical rounds, especially in the heat. You're ready for a fight. I remember Hector Camacho. He fought back then. When he won the WBC lightweight title from Jose Luis Ramirez. Right after that fight, Don Chargan had him in a off-TV 10-round fight. Non-title defense, okay, against Freddie Roach. Now, Joe, how many of these bitches nowadays, they fight, they'll be willing to fight a non-TV fight for cheap money just to stay busy and keep their skills sharp? Nobody.
No one.
Between when they win the title, take non-title fights, stay busy fights, just to stay sharp. Improve your craft. Camacho did. He got paid $50,000 for that fight to fight Freddie Roach. Freddie Roach made his biggest payday of his career, $15,000.
Wow.
He told me. Don told me too. But the thing is, back then, that's what fighters did, Joe. That's why I say the fighters back in the days were a lot tougher than these bitches now. Back then, they would take these off-TV fights. Okay, when they were champion, they would still fight. They would take their these non-title defenses, 10-rounders off TV, just to keep their skills sharp. And that's what Camacho did. That's what Richie Sandoval did when he fought in there in Sacramento in '85. He was a WBA champion. Don used him on the show in an off-TV, 10-round fight. And Richie just fought like two or 3 months earlier, and he said he took the fight because he wanted to stay busy. That's what I mean, Joe. It's a combination of all those factors. That's why all them fighters back then were a lot tougher. To them, it ain't about money. It was about staying sharp and and improving their craft. James Toney is the last fighter I seen do that. That took, that fought on HBO. Then 2 or 3 months later, he would be fighting on ESPN, for $25,000, non-title fights, just to stay sharp. You did that back then. Not now. That is dead. Guys like that, they would, oh God, you want me to take $25,000 to fight on the Fox Sports Network or ESPN? I'm the world champion. I want my $3 million person. They wouldn't do that. That's why a lot of these fucking bitches can't fight like the fighters back then, okay? Because they're not staying busy, staying active, developing their skills. They're not fighting enough. How the hell are you going to get better fighting once a year, twice a year? Back then, like I said, Tony, that was normal for him to fight. To defend his title on ESPN after fighting for big money paydays on HBO. Back then, like I said, Camacho did that. And, Richie Sandoval, Bobby Chacon, all them guys did that, man. It was just normal. But Tony, back to Tony Lopez, he was just, like I said, he learned it. He learned that, getting that toughness, that mental intestinal fortitude with the sparring sessions with Chacon. That's where you develop the fighters, Joe, in the gym. Okay, your fighters, your mental toughness, your mental intestinal fortitude. That's developed in the gym. How you prepare and how you train. Because if you don't prepare right or train right, you're gonna quit like a little bitch when the fight gets tough. You're gonna lay down like a fuck. You're gonna lay down like a dog.
Oh, my word. So, and then you look at Baranchyk.
Oh.
And obviously with two very smart and knowledgeable boxing guys, and they genuinely care about their fighters like the great Don Chargan used to. Tony Holden and Lou DiBella, obviously they're going to the emergency room with their man Ivan. And you've been on that end as well. What is that like after you've seen your, protege and apprentice give it everything he has and still come up short? What's it like, man, afterwards, and what do you tell your fighter?
It's a fucked up feeling. When you lose and you got to take your fighter to the hospital, it's fucked up. I've been there, Raul Marquez, a couple times, His fight with Keith Mullins, a fight in Florida we had where he got cut real bad and we had to stitch him up. The fight with Fernando Vargas, what I mean? When he fought Fernando Vargas, it's a fucked up feeling, man. Going to the hospital out there, a tough battle and you lost, what I mean? Now, if you won, it would have so winning is everything, okay? All right? That's it. Winning is everything, okay? Coming in second place doesn't bode well for me. So when you lose, and then you got to go to the hospital, it's a shitty feeling, what I mean? And you're waiting there till like 4:30 in the morning, and for your, waiting for a plastic surgeon to come in to stitch you up, or waiting in that emergency room, what I mean? Because it's crowded, and then you got to wait in line because you're not a priority. Yeah, I've done that 4 or 5:30 in the morning after the fights, man. I remember one time Raul Marquez. I think we fought Keith Mullins. Oh, what a brutal battle that was. Raul needed close to over 100 stitches to repair. He had like 5 cuts over his face. Raul was a bleeder. Okay, he had very sensitive skin, and he opened. So I took him to the hospital. Me and him. Just us two. We went to the hospital, and we was there to like 3:30, 4:30 in the morning, and people from the fights, guys from the fight game, they came over to, I don't know how the hell they found us, but they came and congratulated us. We won that fight too. Yeah, Raw won that fight, so it's a good feeling. But having 5 stitches and having to take over 100 stitches, having 5 bad cuts over your face. And having to, take 100 stitches to sew them up wasn't too good of a feeling. But, there's a couple of guys I remember in the boxing business, they came by and congratulated us, and they, just to check on us and everything. Yeah, 2:30 in the morning, man. They come over and, seeing how you're doing and this and that. But, we got back to the hotel like 5:30 in the morning, and Eric Morales, the fighter, was waiting for us at the front. Yeah, Eric Morales, we got back. He was there and said, hey, man, are you all right? And this and that. Yeah, it was a great fight, this and that. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, it was funny, man. Yeah, it was funny.
Wow, what an amazing trip, man. That's just crazy. So, Gogue, do you think, because obviously Ramirez and Taylor both, now obviously this fight was held to see who becomes the WBC mandatory challenger for the current champion, right?
Uh-huh.
So obviously, though, they're going to have to take some time to put together that unification bout. That's first and foremost. So in the interim, is it most likely then that you're going to see a unification bout?
Oh yeah, man, they're gonna. Man, Joe, just because
I'm sorry, you're going to see
night,
a rematch. My apologies. You're going to see a rematch with Baranchyk and Zepeda.
That's what I want. That's what the fans want, but I don't think their managers want that. Okay. You know what I mean, Joe? It's different times now. Back then, there would have been a rematch, okay? This is different times now, All right? Me, if I was his manager, absolutely not. I'll let for Zepeda. I want, I would want a stay busy fight against a less tougher opponent because I earned that right. Didn't wait for my title shot, but since I'm playing matchmaker, what's best for the fans? I want the damn rematch, but Will Ludabella and them guys want it, and they're gonna have to come up with a lot of money to get that rematch happen. But in the meantime, let them guys enjoy the victory and let their managers or promoter let them figure out what they want to do. You know what I mean? They made a name for themselves. They enter that rare club nowadays of the old school fighter mentality. Okay, they earn that right. You just don't go. You can't tell the people out there, oh, I'm an old school fighter. Bitch, you got to earn that right. And how do you earn that right? By going through one of these fucking wars. Talk is cheap. All these Instagram fighters and these Instagram warriors, until you go through a fight like this, you can't call yourself an old school fighter. You got to earn that right, okay? And these guys earned that right to call themselves like old school fighters in the same mold as Sugar Ray Robinson, Jake LaMotta, Tony Lopez, Bobby Chacon, and all the rest of them great warriors. Vinny Pazienza. Oh, Jesus, man. The list goes on, Joe. I can name tons and tons of great warriors back in the days that fought like these two guys. It's rare nowadays, Joe, because like I said, a lot of these kids ain't tough like the fighters in the past. You get a few of them like this kid, Baranchyk and Zepeda. But like I said, that's if I was the manager of Zepeda, nah, man, we earned the right for a easier fight until we get our title shot after Ramirez and Taylor. And as far as Baranchyk, let him recover first. You know what I mean? Let him take some time off and let him, rest his brain. Let him rest his brain, which went through a lot of trauma last night. That's the biggest concern for me about a fighter, Joe. It ain't the body shots you take. You can recover from that. It's the constant pounding you take on your head, especially the knockdowns. Okay, getting knocked down is like getting a concussion. Okay, your brain deactivates. Okay, and you go down. And if you get knocked down 4 times in a fight, it's like it's like putting your body through 4 concussions in one day. Dangerous. But you got to be in great physical condition and have a strong human will and a strong intestinal fortitude deep inside of you to come back and battle back. A very high competitive fire and drive in you to forge ahead. So, both fighters, even though Baranchyk lost, nobody lost in this fight, Joe. They were both winners.
Indeed. So congratulations to both men for putting together a truly breathtaking effort. And congratulations to Jose Zepeda, who improves his record at 33-2 with 26 knockouts. Baranchyk falls to 20-2 with 13 KOs. But nonetheless, we want to see both fighters compete in the ring very, very soon. And thank God Baranchyk is okay. He's been given a clean bill of health, and he is on his way home. So congratulations to both men for putting together a truly memorable evening of boxing. Gogue, let's move on to our second segment. And, when you think about Jermall Charlo at 160 pounds, obviously a lot of talk has been, you've heard Eddie Hearn saying that he wants his man, Demetrius Andrade, to compete in the ring with in a unification bout with Jermall Charlo. And obviously we're going to have to be waiting a little while for Canelo at possibly 168. Who would you like to see Jermall Charlo compete against at 160 pounds in his next big event?
Fantasy matchup, him and Golovkin. It ain't going to happen, though, Joe. Al's not going to let him go to the other side of the fence and fight over there with Golovkin. Al wants to keep him over on his side so he could be a pay-per-view star, okay? Joe, that's the fight I would like, okay? Golovkin, the old proven warrior that's on his downside against a young, upcoming, hungry champion in Charlo who's just coming off a big win and everything. That's the fight. But, the politics, that's what's fucked up about this business. You don't see that shit in UFC, okay? Dana White tells you who you're going to fight and makes the fight. Here, you got to go through all this BS and this and that and this and that. And so that fight will never get – the probability of that fight happening is very, very slim because of both fighters. Golovkin's contracted with his own. Charlo ain't contracted with his own, but Al ain't gonna let him, cross the street and fight on that network and everything. Al wants to keep him. Al, has delusions of grandeur that he's gonna be a big pay-per-view star.
Well, with only 100,000 pay-per-view purchases in his last event, and that's with an enticing doubleheader as well with his brother and Jason Rosario. Yeah, he's got to do something, Gogue. And to be honest with you, yeah, you hit the nail right on the head. He's a free agent. He's not contractually bound to any platform or any promotional group. So there's really nothing stopping him except for boxing's premier obstructionist. Yep. And honestly, I am sick and tired of having to talk about this. But in a perfect world, how do you see this matchup playing out, Gogue?
Great stylistic matchup. Guys with both, similar styles. Guys that like to work off their jab, to initiate everything, okay? Guys are both explosive, but the edge in speed, youth, athleticism is all Charlo, okay? Golovkin, like I said, all the wars he's been in, he's 38 years old or something like that. Yeah, you can't tell me he's slowed down a bit. I've seen him. He's slowed down a bit. You know what I mean? And they both have a similar style. They both like to box. To set up what they're going to do. They both, they're basic, sound, fundamental fighters. Okay. They both love to fight at long and medium range. In the pocket, Charlo, he showed me something against that. Against Derevyanchenko. Okay? He showed me a little grit. Yep. He didn't show me great skill level, but he showed me grit where, when he had to dig down and get Derevyanchenko's attention in the pocket, he did, hit him some beautiful uppercuts. Ooh, that set the tone, telling Derevyanchenko, I ain't your little boss me around. You're not going to bully me. So he, like I said, Joe, how do you deter a bully from bullying you? You punch him in his fucking mouth, and that's what Charlo did when he got inside. He got his attention a lot of times. Okay, so but the fight will be played at range, mid range. It'll be a classical chess match, of using boxing basic fundamental skills, working off the jab, footwork, moving in and out of range, basic combinations, basic counters, stuff like that, Joe. That's all it is. It ain't nothing spectacular like the stuff Lomachenko does and, the angles and all that, or the stuff Chocolatito does, all the angles and all that advanced stuff he does in the pocket. No, them guys are not skilled like that. Everything will be just a fundamentally sound chess match at medium and long range. But what's going to be the difference factor is the speed, the athleticism, the explosiveness of Charlo. Okay, he's got quicker feet, quicker hands, better reflexes, sharper, crisper combinations, sharper, crisper counters. Okay, Jermall showed me in that fight with Derevyanchenko. He got some good counters in in his arsenal and everything. You know, the counter check hook, the counter right hand, you know, stuff like that. The counter jab, stuff like that. That, you know, Golovkin, I don't think, you know, he's going to be prepared for. But only thing Golovkin got going in this fight, he can hit, and if he hits Charlo, he could hurt him. But Derevyanchenko hit Charlo with some good shots, and Charlo showed me a good set of whiskers, a good chin, and good composure and poise, you know, and not, not being affected by it in his body language. I can see, Joe, when they get hit, a lot of these bitches nowadays, you know, when they get hit with the right hand or so, they show their nonverbal language all over the TV screen where everybody sees it, you know, just by their facial expressions and, you know, how they're squinching like a little bitch, you know what I mean? You know, but Charlo, he had that little stoicism. He was real stoic. You know, he never changed his expression when Derevyanchenko hit him. He showed that, you know, calm and cool and composure like a young Salvador Sanchez used to. When he fought a Zuma Nelson, he got hit by Zuma Nelson's big bombs. And you still see that, that poker face, that stoicism in his look. You know, like no big deal. And that's the same thing I seen in Charlo the other night. You know, that, you know, he handled those big bombs of Derevyanchenko real good. He didn't get flustered and Joe? Not get flustered and losing his composure and poise. Okay, he just stuck to the game plan. You know, after he got hit with those big shots, he made those defensive adjustments to make sure he didn't get hit with the same big shots. And, you know, stuck to his game plan, took back out range and worked that jab beautifully took control, you know, of a fight and, you know, to regain the momentum on his side. But like I said, this is a good, intriguing fight, good chess match at medium range, long range. And I just think Charlo, because of his athletic gifts, speed, footwork, athleticism, reflexes, sharp counters, I think it would be a little bit too much for Gennady.
Really? At this stage in Gennady's career, you think the young and more athletic Charlo would come out victorious?
Oh, yeah. Hey, Joe, there's always a changing of the guard. That
Indeed.
fight for Charlo did wonders for him, okay? It was a good fight for him, okay? That took his game to the next level, not only, physically, but emotionally and mentally, okay? All right? Now, going in Golovkin, you know, Charlo hasn't been in a super fight like Golovkin, and that's where Golovkin would have the experience. But Charlo, you know, he's got that confidence and that, you know, that cockiness in him to, you know, have that, you know, when he fights Golovkin, he'll have that deep belief in himself that, that Golovkin ain't gonna be no problem. He'll beat him. You know, he'll beat him. That's what, when you go in big fights like this, Joe, you got to have a high degree of self-efficacy. And self-efficacy meaning that whatever you set out to do, a positive result's going to happen. And that's what Charlo has. He has a high degree of self-efficacy. Every time he goes into a fight, he knows that a positive result is going to happen, and he's going to get his hands raised. And going into this fight with Golovkin, he'll have that confidence factor, which he's going to need, and mentally, emotionally, he's mature enough and he's experienced enough. Yeah, Joe. Yeah, there's going to be a change in the guard, you know, when he fights Golovkin. You know, just that speed and the athleticism, and you know, like I said, he's becoming more intelligent. Joe, he shows me he can adapt real good, defensively and offensively in that damn ring. Okay, and but Golovkin, like I said, look at his last couple fights. You can't tell me he slowed down. He gets hit easier. That tells me right then and there, Joe, that a fighter that has slowed down and gets hit a lot more tells me he's starting to get, you know, what do you call it, Joe? Go downhill. His career is not ascending no more. It's descending. You know, like an airplane. You know what I mean? When Golovkin got here, Golovkin was like an airplane taking off into the skies. Now he's ready to land. Fighting Charlo, he's going to land real hard.
Oof. Boy, I tell you what, let's hope that some of these TBC fighters start taking their careers in their own hands and start reminding Al Heyman that he actually works for them and starts, working at their directive for once. Let's just hope that actually happens because I think everyone would love to see that fight. And it's a unification bout for the WBC and the IBF titles at 160 pounds.
What's Golovkin? He's a champion?
He's the current IBF middleweight titleist.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Who did he beat?
He fought Sergey Derevyanchenko for the vacant IBF title, and he's going to defend it against Kamil Szeremeta within the next 2-3 months.
Hell, man, that's why, man, there's so many fucking belts. I don't know what titles these guys win, man. You know what I mean, Joe? That was news to me.
Yep, indeed. It was vacated by Canelo Alvarez when he fought Sergey Kovalev. So, once again, Golovkin fought for the vacant IBF middleweight title against Sergey Derevyanchenko in September of last year. And, so, so nonetheless, it would be a unification bout. Once again, when you look at the great majority of the talent at 160 pounds is not on Al Heyman's client roster, this is a no-brainer. Like I said, their fighters need to start, because they're all free agents, they need to start dictating and telling Al Heyman, the guy who works for them, not the other way around, that, they want these fights, and they demand these fights, right? We're tired of seeing the same old round-robin PBC fights. I'm sick to death of it. Sick to death of it. Okay, so guys, staying in the spirit of what we just witnessed last night, we're going to talk about another mythical matchup, and this is two all-time greats in a relatively new division, the 140-pound weight class. Arguably the two best at 140 pounds all time, Julio Cesar Chavez and Aaron Pryor. Gogue, this is a coin flip, brother. And obviously, they barely missed. They barely missed being able to face each other, right? Aaron Pryor was already long in the tooth, semi-retired, when Julio Cesar Chavez was competing at his brief stint at 140 pounds. Gogue, how would this fight play out, man?
Oh, man. Like I said, styles makes fights. Certain styles mesh to make great fights, and this would be one, because both are, they both love to fight. Both are physical. Both are attacking, and both love to move their hands. Okay, now it's the way they fight, which is different. Pryor is he's a volume combination puncher, but he uses great footwork and great angles when he attacks you, and he's heavy-handed. Woof. When he hits you, boy, woof. And when he hits you, boy, he's like a shark that smells blood. He's on you like white on rice, man. Just, volumes of punches he throws at you and everything. Physically strong, strong-willed. You know what I mean? Joe, he's an old-school fighter, tough as nails and everything. Arguello hit him with his best right hand, and God dang, he shook him off and came back battling. I know there was a lot of controversy in the corner about, Panama Lewis, and that shit he used, you know what I mean, to revive Pryor in the corner, you know what I mean?
The mix.
Because, them big punch. Hey, look, Joe, I don't give a fuck who you are, man. You get hit by Aguero's best right hands, you're going to go down, you're going to be hurt. And it didn't even, it shook Pryor. You see his legs buckle, but his recovery power, boy, just to snap out of it and battle back, man. Then, like Panama, give me the bottle. No, the one I mixed in the corner.
Boy.
You don't remember that, Joe? He was basically saying, give me the one that he's basically saying, give me that bottle of that legal shit I mixed so I could give it to him to revive him. You know what I mean? But, besides that, but Pryor, man, like I said, he's just a two-fisted punching machine. Heavy-handed two-fisted punching machine with good skills, good footwork, you know what I mean? When he attacks you, beautiful angles like Chocolatito Gonzalez. Then you got Chavez, one of the greatest inside fighters of all time, but he has multiple dimensions to his game too. He can box on the outside. He can move and hit and not get hit when he has to. Joe, Manuel Stewart told me that, and I found that out when I had Tony Lopez when we fought Chavez. This guy can box too. He has a real good jab, a real sharp, punishing jab. When he works it, he could bust you up with it and everything. And Chavez could box. He could, when he has to. He has great head and upper body movement. Okay, when he wants to use it. Okay, instead of taking his punches flush on the chin consistently, like Jaime Munguia. Chavez has the ability to move his head and upper body to avoid those punches. Natural. He's just natural at it, Joe. Natural reflexes, natural head and upper body movement, and natural boxing skills. Okay. But his game is on the inside, trench warfare, okay? And I really believe Pryor, he's going to come out smoking, boy. That's Aaron Pryor, the Hawk. Comes out throwing volumes of combinations after combinations after combinations, working off that jab. He's just a basic fundamental combination puncher, but the way he does it, Joe, just in volumes and heavy hands, good footwork, good angles. But Chavez, if he gets him in, Chavez can box him if he has to. But I really believe Chavez, he does his best work when he's inside. Now that's where he's going to have the big advantage over Pryor. Pryor, to me, wasn't a great inside fighter where he could just sit there and battle you toe to toe, okay, like Chavez can. Chavez has great elite Hall of Fame trench warfare skills. Okay, he can sit there in the pocket and bang you 15 rounds if he has to. But the short, sharp, crisp combinations to the body, head, body, coming from all angles with good defensive skills on the inside. Okay, Pryor needed space. He needed medium to long range to get his offensive attack going. When you got him close in the pocket, I don't think he was that effective. Okay, he wasn't good at sitting there mano a mano in the phone booth and working. He needed, he wanted that medium range or space so he could throw those punches from distance and everything. But Chavez, he don't need that space. He'll get you right in the pocket and take you to school, and that's where I think this fight will end up playing at. And Chavez, working inside with them short, crisp, sharp combinations, man. Will he be able to hurt Pryor? That's hard to do. He's going to have to break him down slowly, round by round by round by round. But just to have the playing field towards his advantage, Chavez is going to have to fight him at close range. He can't give Pryor that space where, Pryor got good hand speed too. He's like Meldrick Taylor. He's just basically like Meldrick Taylor, Joe, but not as fast, but heavier hands, Aaron Pryor. Okay, like Meldrick, but Meldrick can fight in the pocket if he has to. Pryor, I think he's not as proficient like Meldrick if he had to fight there close range. But if you gave him that space, medium, long range, he'll let those hands go. And, you know what I mean? And they're heavy-handed too, Joe. Like I said, basically, he's got that, just like Meldrick Taylor, that toughness. That competitive spirit like Meldrick Taylor with heavier hands and everything, and a solid beard, solid chin. It would be a hell of a fight, Joe. A fight that will be on pay-per-view, of course. You know what I mean? Because Chavez is a draw, and he can attract a fans to pay $50, $60 for a fight like that and everything. But the fight, for Chavez to be competitive, to make the playing field, to turn the playing field to his advantage, he would have to fight in the quarters like he did Edwin Rosario, where he took Rosario's medium range, long range distance game away and made Rosario fight his fight in the pocket where he wasn't as effective like he is at medium range and everything. But like I said, Chavez in the pocket, him and Duran were my heroes, my professors. They taught me so much about inside fighting, and that's why I learned a lot about inside fighting, watching them two guys and everything, and going to the gym and perfecting it, training fighters. But that would be what do you call it, Joe? One of those fantasy matches. Who would win, Joe?
Yep.
Good question.
Who would win?
Good question. Oh, both had solid chins. Both had a high competitive spirit to win. It all comes down to, Joe, who's going to execute their game plan better. That's all. And if Chavez fought in the pocket at close range like he did when he fought Edwin Rosario back in 1987, well, the game, what do you call it? The momentum is going to shift to his side. But if he gives Pryor that space and everything, the playing field evens. Oof, what a great fight that would be. Oof.
We're not going to let you off that easily, brother. No hypotheticals here, and I know we're speaking hypothetically. But if the fight played out, who do you think would win? Which scenario would end up playing out with a gun to your head, brother? Come on now.
Oh, Chavez, he'll make him fight his fight in the pocket. Chavez will make him fight his fight in the pocket. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if he jumped on Pryor right off the bat to take away the distance. To take away the distance he needs to fight at proficiently, and and box him when he has to and everything. But that Pryor is just one tough dude, man. You know what I mean? Just one tough dude, and man, Joe, it would be a hell of a fight, man. You know what I mean? I like Julio, man. If he fights his fight consistently or at the distance he wants, which is close range, I got to go with Julio because he's so much better at Pryor at that range. But if you don't get that range and distance, and Pryor, Pryor with that hand speed, the volume of combinations, the heavy hands, just like Mildred Taylor. With the hand speed like Mildred Taylor, the volume of combinations like Mildred Taylor, but the heavier hands. Joe, that's a fight. That's why this fight would be pay-per-view. You don't know who's going to win, and people would want to pay to watch that fight. That is a true pay-per-view fight, Joe. That's a special fight, not Charlo versus Devonchenko or Charlo versus Rosario. That's fucking shit. That should be on great fights, but a fight that was on the wrong platform. It should have been on Showtime Championship Boxing or Fox Primetime. Okay, this is a special pay-per-view fight. You talk about two Hall of Fame legends going at it and everything. Oof. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, thanks for that breakdown, Gogue, and if you missed any part of it, you're going to see it on our YouTube page, War Week Radio on YouTube, and you can listen back to the entire analysis of the mythical matchup at 140 pounds, arguably the two greatest at 140, Julio Cesar Chavez versus Aaron Pryor. My word.
The Hawk.
I tell you, the Hawk. What a mean bastard that guy was.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Joe.
Boy, that's the guy who wanted to take your lunch money, isn't he?
I met Aaron, last time I seen him, we had a fight in Key West, Florida, I think in 2011. That's the last time I seen him, before he passed away. Oh, yeah, I got to hang out with him, for a few days. And, his room was right next to mine. So, we seen each other every day. We went to the press conferences every day. We went to the weigh-ins. We went to dinner, the same van. We went to the weigh-in. So, you get to, and then we walked around the city and everything, man. So, he's a nice guy. Great guy. He had some problems earlier, but he got to change his life around and everything. I like it. A lot of young guys that get lost and everything, when they're young. They realize, they don't realize the mistakes they made till they get older, you know what I mean? But Aaron, what a hell of a fighter. I know his manager real well, Buddy LaRosa, the pizza guy. Guy had like 30, pizza franchises in Cincinnati and everything. That was his manager who really took care of him. And but Aaron, like I said, he got caught up in the street life, the drugs and everything. And having Panama, Lewis in his corner didn't help it, help his career with all the controversy. Panama, who just passed away. I never, I know Panama. I met him a few times, but everybody tells me what a great boxing mind he is and this and that, but I never got to talk. Honestly, I never got to talk boxing with him. Panama got to work with a lot of great trainers. Arcel, when Arcel was working with Duran, he was like his assistant. Freddie Brown, so he got to learn from some great trainers. But I never got to personally sit down and talk to Panama about boxing and everything. But I heard he was a brilliant boxing mind. Everybody that I know real good in the boxing business, they told me, he's a boxing, a walking boxing encyclopedia. But because of what he did that one night, his fighter, who was his fighter, Joe? Billy Rusto was the guy. Was it?
Yeah.
Billy Rusto, yeah, against that Irish guy. Yeah, how he took the padding out of the gloves. Yeah, and he got banned for life.
Just terrible.
That's what Panama Lewis is known for. Taking the padding out of the gloves, altering the gloves where there was less padding in the gloves, and it did a lot of damage to Rusto.
Oh, just terrible. Luis Resto versus Billy Collins. Yep.
Luis Resto, yeah, Billy Collins. That's it, Joe. And,
miserable.
That's what Panama did, and it always stuck with him. He got banned for life. He never could work another corner in the United States until we fought in 94 in Mexico against Julio Cesar Chavez, like I was telling you earlier, with Tony Lopez. He was working with Oba Car, Motor City Car. When Oba Car fought Felix Trinidad. Trinidad back then was he was in the main eventer. He was a co-main eventer. We were the main that night, and they were the co-main. And Jose Solomon gave him a license to work the fights over there in Mexico. He said you got to forgive him and everything. So that was the last time I seen him work a corner. Yeah, but in the United States, he was banned for life. He couldn't work He couldn't come 10 feet of a corner. Oh no, or couldn't go back in the dressing rooms or nothing, man. Yeah, because of that incident with Resto and everything.
Good old Mexico, a land of no lies.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, we're at the end of the road, Gogie, but just give us a preview of next week's show, because guess what? We are less than 2 weeks away from the big one on ESPN. Vasyl Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez for all the marbles at 135 pounds, and this just in, they're 14-day weights right now. Vasyl Lomachenko is weighing with 2 weeks out, 141.4 pounds. And Teofimo is slimming down nicely and is sitting at 142.4. So, yeah, it looks like both guys are hungry, both guys are disciplined, and we're going to see a fight on October 17th. This is a great one. Gogie, I tell you what, just give us a preview of what we're going to discuss on next Sunday night's program.
Hey, it's going to be a great fight coming up. This fight is important to the boxing world, because if you notice, since we got back from COVID, boxing has been on the decline, okay? Fans just don't give a shit about it, and it's shown in the ratings, okay? Now, putting that pay-per-view fight with Charlo, instead of putting it on Showtime Championship Boxing or Fox, putting it on pay-per-view, it didn't help boxing at all, okay? It helped them, because, they filled their pockets up, but it didn't help the boxing world that needed an injection to bring the fans back, okay? Because a lot of fans just left the sport. They said, the hell, they get tired of these bullshit matchups that you see on TV. Nobody's fighting the best. They're saving their best fights for pay-per-view, but not. Arum is changing everything around. He's not putting his fights on pay-per-view. He's putting his best matchups, the best matchups on free, or what do you call it, cable TV on ESPN, TV's biggest sports network, okay? So this fight is huge, not only because it's a great fight, intriguing fight, 50-50 fight, because what it could do to the boxing, the world of boxing, bringing the fans back into this sport to follow us, to get the ratings back up, okay? To get, what do you call it, Joe? Get the choo-choo train going, so when this pandemic, ends, to get the fans back in the stands, okay? To get, to bring that excitement back on TV and everything, okay? That's what it's going to happen. That's why this fight's important, Joe. It goes beyond boxing, Joe. I mean, it goes beyond this fight. It goes all over the boxing world, okay? This fight, great matchup. They're doing a lot of press for it, a lot of, HBO type programming, storytelling to build this fight up and everything, okay, Joe? And it's not pay-per-view too, Joe. But they're, if you've watched ESPN lately, they're doing all these specials, they're telling stories to get fans excited about this fight, to sell the fight, okay? Because there ain't going to be no fans in the arena, which sucks. But they want fans tuning in. They want the ratings high, okay? This is how you do it, Joe. Arum is the best promoter in boxing, probably the greatest in history, him and King, okay? Big promoters, okay? They know how to do it. Now, the other promoters out there, fucking clueless. But anyway, this fight, no, they're fucking clueless, okay? Arum is the best, all right? The other ones are, like Dana White said, they're all in it for a money grab, how much money they can suck out of you and go to the next fight and screw the fucking fans over. That's what their attitude is. But Arum is, he's all for the fans and wants the sport to grow. 90 years old, and he has a deep passion and affection for the sport, and he wants to see these young guys become popular, big time stars, just like they were in the past. So this fight, like I said, is bigger than the fight, Joe. It's what it could do for boxing, and then how it can grow the sport, and how it can bring boxing back from its its doldrums right now. After the pandemic, when nobody gave a shit about it. When they came back, nobody gave a shit about it. So, like I said, we got a big show next week, and we'll talk about it. And I expect big ratings from this, this ESPN. And Joe, we need this fight to do good in the ratings. Then after that, they'll build a momentum. As long as they do it on a consistent effort, week by week, they'll start rebuilding the damaged fan base. There's a lot of fans that said, hey, fuck you guys, man. I'm sick of boxing, all the bullshit, all the politics. And you can't blame Arum. Arum wants the best fights happen. Well, then again, Arum, he has his agenda sometimes, but a majority of the time it's Al Heyman. That's the biggest obstructionist. What do you call it? Premier boxing's premier obstructionist. He's the biggest obstructionist in boxing. So. Indeed.
Well, guys, that's a reason to tune in. His name is James Gogue, 3-decade fight trainer. Guys, tune in next Sunday. You don't want to miss his official preview for Vasyl Lomachenko versus Teofimo Lopez. And guys, being the official ambassadors of the sport, every single one of you need to start telling your friends, your family, anyone who doesn't know any better that this is the one you need to see. Guys, on behalf of James Gogue, I'm Joseph Herron. You're listening to War Week Radio. Have a great Sunday evening, everybody.